Welcome to Thriller Thrifts. We are two people who really enjoy thrifting of all types and also run a resale business on the side. Today we are recapping some items that sold in the month of February, and make sure to stick around until the end for our total sales and costs for the month. The first item to sell this past month was this new Fitbit Aria digital body weight and BMI smart scale. This was purchased at a thrift store for $16.39 and it sold in 17 days for $44.99 with free shipping. The scale goes specifically with the health smartwatch, the Fitbit, so it's supposed to sync the number once you step on it with the app. And I would be careful only measuring BMI for health goals because it doesn't give a full picture of individual health, only for population health. But if you want to be more synchronous with your type of goals, brand new ones go for $60 or more in addition to the Fitbit, so this is a bit cheaper. The second item to sell is this Velo LRC-SE10 Rapid Lens Changer for a Sony E-mount camera lens. This was purchased at an estate sale for $5 and it sold in about a year and a half for $25 plus shipping. So what this does, it allows photographers to more easily swap out lenses without carrying them all in a bag, and a brand new one would be in the $40 to $50 range. So oftentimes you do see camera equipment at estate sales, garage sales, because there's just so much that goes with cameras and photography, and the items can kind of pile up. So those would be good places to look for.
This is a great shot, Mav. I should be a photographer.
Not all cameras, some specific ones, and oftentimes too that they are missing parts, so it just kind of depends. But this one was in good condition and also in working condition. The next item to sell is this Moen Magnetics Brush Nickel Remote Shower Head Dock. This was purchased at a yard sale with a bunch of other shower appliances for $80, seen in previous videos, and so we gave this one a purchase price of only $1. And this one sold in 3 months for $10.79 plus shipping. So this is kind of new in the box, even though the tag here is a little bent, but you would put this at the top of your shower so you can easily remove the shower head if you needed to. So it's easier than like putting it on the hook, and the hook, it doesn't really hold it in place as much, like it'll rotate maybe. So this is an alternative solution if you would like, and if you want to match the aesthetic of like the brushed nickel, this would be good as well. The next item to sell is the Samsung AD54003 power supply. This came in a larger bundle of power supplies purchased from an estate sale. So this had an average price of 80 cents per item power supply. And this sold in about 11 months for $13.17 plus shipping. So this was beneficial in that there was just a lot of pieces in this bundle and you could piece them out and sell them individually. So this power supply is very heavy, but it's good for when you need it. It allows the correct amount of electricity to pass from the wall to your device, and I think at this estate sale it just had collected. The next item to sell was the set of 4 Fitz and Floyd Everyday White 10-inch porcelain dinner plates. These were purchased for $1 per plate from a thrift store. So if you go to the glassware section, they have so many of these different types mixed with like lower quality ones, but it's always a good chance to look through. And they sold for $32.50 plus shipping in 3 months. So this is the other half of the set that we sold in a previous video. These are the larger plates, so it will be a little bit more of a hassle to pack. Otherwise, a pretty good sale and not as long as we thought it would be. This next item is an interesting one. This is the Lemon Shine dishwashing detergent, 39 total pods out of all of the packets here. These are purchased for $3.28 from a thrift store, so these are probably just excess, and they sold in about 2 months for $22.27 plus shipping total. So originally we thought that we would keep these to use in our dishwasher, but lately our dishwasher is broken. Kind of just switched to hand washing for now. And you can sell these types of things on eBay. And the Lemmy kind of sounds like the Kourtney Kardashian brand for supplements, but these are probably more affordable than those. The next item to sell is almost a repeat item. Looks very familiar from a few items back. This is the Canon AC power supply for word processor. It was purchased with the same power supply lot at an estate sale, so about 80 cents per unit. It's probably one of its brothers or cousins in that same lot. And it's on 11 months for $12 plus shipping. This is a different brand and for a camera instead, with similar properties apply. Plug it to the wall, make sure that the correct amount of power comes out. It also comes with the original tag on it as well for the original owner. The next item to sell is this lot of 5 snowboard and skiing PlayStation 2 games. These were personal items and they sold in about a year for $13.76 plus shipping. So I don't know the original price. This is my partner's games for the PS2 and I like how they're all winter themed. When this comes out, I think the Winter Olympics in Italy should have wrapped up. So I definitely did watch those. Got Shaun White snowboarding. Other types of snowboarding. Ski and shoot has always been an interesting type of game. Although I do like the Summer Olympics a little bit more than the winter ones. I like to get free up some space and a little bit of nostalgia. Now I feel like there's a certain theme in this video. This is the iRobot Scuba 230 power supply that sold. It was purchased at a Goodwill bin for 51 cents instead of the 80 cents for the other power suppliers. And it sold in 23 hours for $16.99 plus shipping. So this is for a robot vacuum, the iRobot, or I think there are other products as well. It comes with the original warning tag, so I guess do not remove. And you would just plug it in the same, allows the appropriate amount of power to go through. Although I have a robot vacuum, and I think you would just leave this in there for the charging port into the wall. The next item to sell is this Behringer Super X Pro CX2310 stereo system. This was purchased at a buy-sell trade store for $49.11 and it sold in 17 days for $99.99 plus shipping, about $100. And fun fact, it's going to Trinidad and Tobago. This is in working condition and I wondered how this stereo is different than other ones, but I think it's just an earlier model. And you can see on picture here, it has like the dials that I haven't used in a while because it was like a touchscreen for them. But it's going to travel a little longer from Tennessee. I would like to visit there someday too. The next item to sell is this Rowenta Steam Iron for clothing. This is the DW5051 and a Project Runway edition, the fashion show I think on Netflix currently. This was purchased at a thrift store for $12.11 and after 2 years it sold for $30.59 plus shipping. So this is from the electronics section. I need to clean it up again once more before heading out, but it's in working condition. I think it has a lot of power for it. Can't see the top there, but comes with the original cord as well and the tag. And this is, I think, more interesting because it is branded. You would use an iron to close pieces of fabric more flat as you put it into the sewing machine so it doesn't move around. So you have very pressed seams. And I sew as a hobby, so I should probably use this more. But I have one currently and it works, so didn't feel the need to replace it. The next item to sell is this Estee by Estee Lauder 0.25 fluid ounces bottle of Super Cologne Spray. This was purchased at a yard sale with a bunch of other empty perfume bottles for a per unit price of 19 cents. Again, in previous videos, this box just keeps on coming. And this one sold in 5 months for $16.19 plus shipping. This is more, I think, of like a 1990s, 2000s look about it. And it has a milder scent as a cologne. The next item to sell are these 3 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles VHS Burger King club tapes. I didn't know that Burger King had a kids club and also gave out VHS tapes. These were purchased at a estate sale for $1.50 for all 3, and they sold in 10 months for only $8 plus shipping. So there's actually a 4th episode. So if you had all 4 of them and they were sealed, you could get closer to $100 for them. But these are just short films or episodes. You got April Foolish, The Great Boldini, and Invasion of the Turtle Snatchers. The next item to sell is another perfume from that same box where the Estee Lauder came from. This is a 1970s Avon Parakeet perfume bottle, and again has a purchase price of 19 cents. And this one sold in 5 months for $15.51 with free shipping on Mercari instead. We would have sold this one on eBay, but it got taken down because it is slightly used, and you're not supposed to list used perfumes on eBay, which is something new we learned. I love the design of this bottle. I didn't even know it was perfume from looking from afar. It's a green and blue parakeet and mostly full. It has a more, not a bird smell, but light floral scent. The next item to sell is this Apple iPhone 13 128 gigabytes with 82% battery. So we moved on from the AirPods now to the actual iPhone. And this is a personal product. This is my previous phone. I upgraded and I had bought this one in 2023 as a gift to myself for graduating school, I remember. And I used also a bunch of gift cards because, recent grad doesn't have a lot of money. But this sold in about 2 months for $178 plus shipping. So way less than when I originally purchased it for around $550. But in the meantime, we're throwing in this OtterBox case. And then I originally liked this very red color. Red is one of my favorite colors. The next item to sell was this Boy aluminum crochet hook set of 5, and we had purchased these as part of a private pick, meaning that the person was holding an estate sale but only allowing one person at a time. So this ended up being about $1.81 per item, and these sold in 9 months for $8.99 plus shipping. You need different crochet hooks for different size holes. I crocheted like for one summer with my mom and my sister, and I made half a blanket. I think it's still sitting somewhere. It's a good hobby to have if you want to be tactile with your hands, and I think these are a good brand as well. The next item to sell is another craft related item. This is the Merriman NFL Minnesota Vikings pencils and case. These were purchased at an estate sale. Similarly, we bought many video games at that same estate sale, which will be in a separate video. But these had a purchase price of $1, and they sold in 1 week for $14.99 plus shipping. So there's 3 pencils in here, and has the Minnesota Vikings on the side here. Although I don't know why this one has this San Francisco. These don't have an eraser, just the one end to shave. And pencils like these, like vintage ones, can go for a lot, especially if you have all of them in a case. But I love this older look about them, and they probably have a better graphite writing to them. The next item to sell is this Keurig K-Duo 5100 coffee maker. This was purchased from a thrift store for $1.41, and it was only that price because it was a Goodwill and they had the dollar tag plus the tax. So it was a really good find. It had all the pieces with it, and it sold in 16 hours for $39.99 plus shipping. And I'm surprised how fast it sold because we just listed it. I had to clean the entire thing. There's so many coffee grounds just anywhere and everywhere, plus removing all of the tape from it. So just putting on like a movie and cleaning it. So I'm glad that it's getting shipped out because it's kind of big too. It's really functional, and the Keurig is like the Keurig pods, so you don't have to. I think you can do both, like coffee grounds as well as the pods. The next thing to sell is another lot of these DVDs. These aren't games these times, but instead WWE and UFC fighting DVDs, mostly from the 80s and the 90s. And these were purchased at a yard sale for $5, and they took about 1.5 years to sell for $12 plus shipping. So we got McMahon here, Tombstone, History of the Undertaker. I think they would be an interesting watch. And for our next item, we have this Fujifilm Instax 210 instant camera. This was purchased at a yard sale for $30, and it sold in about 12 hours for $76 plus shipping. So this is a Fujifilm instant camera, meaning that although it looks like your usual digital camera, there is an automatic film that comes out the top, like a Polaroid camera. It's different than like the pastel ones that you usually see. So this gives more like detailed, in-depth photos and a larger picture as well. So you would put the film in here. And the film just comes separately, but cameras like these are always fun at like parties. This next item is something that I think is pretty cool. This is the Oceanic VO 100 Scuba Dive Diving Computer Puck Module. This was purchased at the Goodwill bins for 45 cents, and it sold in 9 days for $20 plus shipping. This was sold untested because we are not scuba divers. I don't even know how you would go about testing it like at home, but if it was like a working good condition and we had tested it, it can sell it for $200. If it's a computer puck, my guess is that you would use it for research down there in the fathom depths below. So I hope it works. Whoever purchased it, and it'd be a good deal. The next item to sell is related to the previous items that sold. This is the iRobot Brava M6 wet cleaning pads, and they contain 15 pads and 1 rewashable pad. So these came with an iRobot Brava M6 that was sold in the past. In previous video, long story short, we thought we would use it, but it turns out it's difficult to use where we live. This was given a purchase price of $5 just for these mop pads, and they sold in 5 days for $29.99 plus shipping. So they are in working condition, I guess, just new. So there's disposable ones if you want to quick throw away, and there's reusable ones if you want to wash it. And I like the idea of like a mop robot, because I don't like mopping myself. Hopefully the newer models or in the future it'll be easier to use. The next item to sell is kind of like a repeat item. This is the PVCS 200X Professional Stereo Power Amp Rack. This was purchased at a buy-sell trade store for $87.35, and it sold in 2 months for $179.99 plus shipping. Sold amplifiers like this before, and we frequent this buy-sell trade store because they often have quality items that they've already been pre-screened. This is also in working condition. There's some scratches on it, but it can be cleaned up. The original cord as well. This next item is the Nikon Nicormat. I think that's how you pronounce it. The FS SLR film camera. This was purchased at a yard sale for $40, and it sold in 1 day for $110 plus shipping. So this person knew what they had and had a hard bargain for $40, which is more than you typically spend in a garage sale. But this is beautiful. Comes in the original case, leather case, and it kind of looks like something that you would see in a movie. So in working condition, made in Japan. It is quite heavy though, so I feel like something like this is more rare to see nowadays. For our next item, we have this Swan Mist Curling Iron Brush. This was purchased at a thrift store for $5.76. Those you would find a lot of like hair tools, I think kind of near the electronics, but also I've seen in cookware. But this sold in 5 months for $31.49 plus shipping. I never know how to use this. I think this is for, I don't even want to say like straight hair too, but it heats up. There's a dial for the temperature. It's in working condition, the original cord, and be careful when you're using the heat because I always see like horror stories of burning off hair. Otherwise, they're pretty neat, makes your hair look pretty. This next item is obviously, I think, a bowling ball. This is the Brunswick Oddballs Kong bowling ball. It was purchased at a thrift store for $5.46, and it sold in 9 months for $25 plus shipping. And shipping is a bit more because it's just a mass. And this is a pretty rare bowling ball. However, even though it is kind of rare, there are these cracks where the fingers are supposed to go into, like on the edge there. So it would need some repair. I wouldn't even know how to begin to repair a bowling ball like this. Otherwise, it would have sold for more if they weren't there. A Brunswick, famous company for bowling, and I thought it was interesting to have the Kong there, reminiscent of Donkey Kong. Though while listening to this, I was like, why is Donkey Kong named Donkey? Wouldn't it be like Gorilla Kong? I don't know. Not great at bowling. It's very hard for me. Otherwise, these are good to find at estate sales and thrift stores to resale. The next item was this toy. This is a very interesting toy. This is the Chicken Chucker toy. This was purchased at a thrift store for $1.96, and it sold for $15.99 plus shipping in over a year. So although it's a fun looking thing, I'm not sure like people are specifically looking for it on eBay. Glad that someone found it interesting and we were able to make some room. So basically you would put one of these chickens down here and you would put it inside the pistol and you can catapult it to wherever you need it to go. I haven't seen a rubber chicken in a while. I feel like they were trendy and I don't know where they all went. If you're caught unawares, it's kind of funny. Little chicken being thrown at you. The next item to sell is this Breville Jurassic Park T-Rex Ford monster truck. Everything in this box is new from the original Jurassic Park series, the movies, and it was purchased at a thrift store for $11.03. From there, it sold for $50 plus shipping in 5 days. So a pretty good sale. Otherwise, still new, although it is like beat up in certain places, like this closing tape is coming off. It's dented in some places, and I'm not sure if it would work actually. I think it's a lot of fun, kind of like a vintage toy almost. And hopefully no dinosaurs come by your way while playing with this. And now that we're at the end of February, it is still tax season.
Better get going on those taxes, Nettie.
So this is the H&R Block at Home Deluxe Federal and State Tax Filing Software. It was purchased at an estate sale for 35 cents and it sold in 11 months for $12.59 plus shipping. I'm not sure how this works from a CD, and I'm not sure how useful it is since it's for 2011, and I think a lot of the tax stuff, maybe not a lot, but like some of the numbers have changed since then for the 2025 tax filing year. I still need to file my taxes, and I usually use other types of software, so hopefully if you need a historical reference, this would be a CD to use. The next item is more of a crafty item. This is the Sears Kenmore 6814YDK sewing foot pedal. This was purchased at the Goodwill bins for $1.69 and it sold in 20 days for $37.99 plus shipping. So this is a sewing foot pedal, meaning that it would go into the ground. You would hook it up to your sewing machine, and for the sewing machine to go, you would press your foot down on here, and the more pressure you put down, the faster it goes. Less pressure, slower. And I have one for my brother's sewing machine, so I didn't know that Sears had one, but this is like a older model and made in Japan as well. I've yet to need to update my sewing machine. It still works. Yeah. This next item is definitely a throwback type of thrift. This is a Microsoft Flight Simulator X Gold Edition. This was purchased at a thrift store for $1.20 and it's still brand new. It's original packaging and it's sold in 9 days for $39.99 plus shipping. I think this logo for Microsoft was still back in the time when I had the dial-up on the computer. You couldn't use the internet and the phone at the same time. So this is kind of taking me back there. I didn't know that they had games like this. I think they switched to other types of consoles as well. But it looks pretty cool. You can fly a helicopter, a Red Bull plane, and one of those PC games. The next items to sell as part of a previous sale where we pieced out. This is the Moen T218 2BN Dartmoor Pressure Balance Brushed Nickel Shower Trim. This was purchased at a yard sale with a bunch of other shower accessories and they were all purchased for $15 a piece. So these had sold together, these two boxes together in 4 months for $100 plus shipping. So these are all brand new. I just kind of opened a little bit to see. It does another shower head, kind of shower equipment. So wrapped up, and this will be easier to ship because it's already in the box, so maybe some more packing material. I think this is one of the last few accessories from that purchase. Maybe nickel will be the new trend for bathrooms. And for our next item, this is the Volkskraft Portfolio Forest dinner plate. This is a repeat item, and we had sold a set of 3 plates 4 months ago for $50 plus shipping. This one specifically was purchased from a thrift store for $3.27. The others had a different price, but this one sold by itself for $17.99 plus shipping in 4 months. So about 8 months total for the entire set. And I do like this color. Still in some good condition, some scratches here in the middle, but a good size and made in the US. For our next item, we have another camera. This is the Canon AF 35mm film camera. It was purchased for $43.65 at a buy-sell trade store. This was one of our favorite buy-sell trade stores, and it sold for $89.99 with free shipping. So this was in the back, kind of hidden behind like a glass wall. You had to ask to hold it so you could buy it. But it was nice condition, working condition as well. And I like the size of this. It's easily transportable. It comes with the original strap. And I should maybe try photography as a hobby just because there's so much art with it. But there's just so many different devices here. I wouldn't know where to start. For our next item, we have a return item kind of. In a previous video, we had a bunch of Bose items, so glad to see it come back. This is the Bose SoundLink model 415859. It was purchased at an estate sale for $8. It's kind of just hanging around, so it has some use to it, and it sold in 8 months for $25 plus shipping. Again, it's a little worn cosmetically, so the scratches we could not get off, which is probably why it sold for a little bit less. Otherwise, it's a kind of good sized speaker. This is more like a square and taller versus like the Beats pill, which is like short and long. The color is easier to find than the black and your typical Bluetooth settings. And for our last item of the month, I have something really fun. This is a Yoshi plush. This is 20 inches and also with the original tag on it. And it was purchased at a thrift store for $1.07. There was like a sale on plushies that day. And it sold in about a month for $16.99 plus shipping. It's on the greatest condition despite the original tag. I think some of the stuffing needs to be renewed. Otherwise, it's a pretty good size and it's pretty soft. And I'm really excited for the next Mario movie because they're introducing Yoshi. I like how he looks. He's a little green, I think turtle or dinosaur. It's a little fun addition to any plushie collection.